Everyone. Welcome to my live. I am Dr. Krystal Lee, affectionately known as your publisher, editor, ghostwriter, the one that can help you essentially turn your writings into a business or show you how to run business based on good principles that will take you from dreaming to paid, which is one of my entitled books. Currently, I have one posted. I want to take that one down. Hold on one second. Let me switch that one out. Actually, I might just take it down altogether because we're not there yet. All right. So I'm excited that you guys are here. I look forward to all that we're going to be able to accomplish today in the live. I'm just going to hold on, let me turn that one off. So, yeah, we'll share that one. The fact that you do have a story, I believe that. I believe everyone has a story. And the question is, what would you like to do, to achieve, to accomplish with your story? Okay. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm definitely going to show you how I use my processes to publish 65 titles and help many of people launch their authorship businesses and just shore up their current product or service based companies utilizing the resources that are talked about in greater details in my books. What our company does, which is helping aspiring people launch very, what is the right word? Confidently. Because when we don't know what we're doing or we feel we don't, we can feel like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? And I don't want you to feel that way. Okay. So if you ever felt that way during my life, I'm going to share with you a lot of information that will help curb your nerves. And I am just pulling this up over here because it's a lot easier to see than on the phone. So let me pull this up real quick. But yeah, so welcome to my live. If you are new, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to follow, to leave a comment, and then of course I will know you've been here. And on some applications, it may only show during the live; it doesn't show afterwards. So if you don't see me, definitely follow me, and that way I'll see you, and I'll be able to acknowledge any further questions you may have that stem from the live or if you have questions in general. Okay. So in case you're new, I am a 65-time published author. Now, when I say published, I mean available in 44,000 outlets, going beyond one particular store, and I take people global. Okay. So if you've been wanting to ultimately tell your story and make it make sense, I'm definitely the person that is here to help you. Okay. I think sometimes we can feel like we have to have everything. And when we don't know what everything looks like, it could cause panic. What I don't want you to do today is leave my life feeling as if you have gotten nothing out of it, meaning you didn't see a way forward for where you are right now to write, to publish, to edit, or to have your book, your story ghostwritten, if that might be what's best. I actually meet with a lot of clients who are busy, who are honestly just not writers, and they don't have a strong interest in writing their books, but they have an incredible interest in telling their stories. So if that's you, I am definitely going to step you through just some of the things I want you to think about. Now, the first step that I to or go through with my potential clients is I want to let you know ultimately where you are. I know sometimes we feel like, Krystal, I ain't nowhere. There's a whole lot of steps between publish and writing and editing and thinking and planning and outlining. So I want to take you through some of these steps, honestly, to take some of that pressure off you. Because some of us, I feel like, are not publishing our stories because we're beating ourselves up about our stories and we may not see the value in our current story. I know when I first started writing books, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no anticipation of doing this on repeat. I was like, okay, one book, I'm done. There's my story. But how many of y'all know for some of us, writing one story just isn't enough? You know, telling one book or having one book is only going to tell a certain amount of what you may want to share. And if there is more, why not write more? Now, what happens is we feel like, oh, okay, Krystal, there's so much that I may not want to say. Hey, Blue Marie, how you doing? Nice to see you tuning in. Hi, I also see you too, Gabrielle. How you doing? Welcome to the live. And so I want to encourage you that if you have felt overwhelmed, by writing or telling your story, I want to show you, hi, I want to tell you it doesn't have to be that complicated. Now, what makes things complicated is when you're trying to do something you don't know. Okay. When we're trying to do something new, this is how we can be easily aggravated, easily frustrated because we're trying to do something new and we may not have the support that we need. Okay. So I told you I was going to take you through the steps. Now I got to get here it is, my stylus. All right. So I want to take y'all through the steps of what it looks like, ultimately to write and tell your stories. Okay. Let me see. I don't want to let that go away. All right. So when you are deciding to write or tell your story, the first thing you're going to have to ask yourself is why. I know it might sound real easy. What you mean, Krystal? Why? I mean, why? Why are you wanting to tell your story? What do you want to get out of your story? How do you want other people to be impacted with or by your story? Okay. So I want to put this up too, because this is the guide that I use for all of my clients. Okay. And I share this guide because even if you don't work with me, okay, that's not really what this live is about. It's about showing you ultimately the process you want to know. So if you hire anybody, you know what to expect. I apologize, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Somebody is calling me. And okay, I'll call them back. All right, here we go. Yes. So you want to know essentially why. Okay. Why are you writing in the first place? So we're going to put why here. Okay. When you're considering, okay, why am I doing this? Are you doing this because it's a bucket list item? Are you doing this because you want to preserve? Hey there. Are you doing this because you want to preserve your history? Are you doing this because you want to start a business? Are you a novelist, children's author, poet? Okay. Are you wanting to write plays and maybe you can't direct all the plays you would love to inspire? So now you want to publish a book to show people how to do plays. I published a book that is just the playwright. Thank you so much. I do see you, ABCI. Thank you so much. I got all these things that are like a little spread out. So I apologize if it looks like I'm shifting on and off the screen a little bit, but thank you so much. Deborah, thank you so much, love, for following. I see you. I appreciate you. Real quick, our goal so far in the live is to hit 1,000 hearts. Greetings. And we are well on our way. We're about 10% of the way through. So as you hear things that you like and love, be sure to definitely throw up those hearts and those likes. It helps other people to see that we're here. And then two, if you haven't followed me yet or subscribed, make sure you do that today. As you subscribe and follow, you'll get all of my updates, which are going to teach you incredible things. If you are serious about telling your story, I'm telling you, my lives are going to help you. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, please. This topic is about how to write and, basically the process for writing and sharing your story to get it published or to launch your business. This is what I do with Krystal Lee Enterprises, which is what KLE is. And our goal is to help make people's stories easier to tell, to write, to publish. So there are more books that can identify with people that are looking to be inspired by you. Okay. I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff on Netflix and Hulu, and some of them are just, wow. I'm glad people have the boldness to put this on video. But for some of us, our boldness is going to come through by writing a script, by writing a book, writing a book of poems, that express your emotions. Poetry is such a good way of bringing helpful advice, encouragement in a creative expression. So I want to let you know, if you're a creative person that's looking for a business edge, I want to show you how you can essentially take what you like and love, what you would do for free, and then see it as a means of something that could also bless you financially, if that's how you want to manage it. Okay. Sammy, thank you so much for following. I do see you. I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank y'all. All right. And we are about 36% through our goal. So thank y'all for doing that as well. So again, the first thing I want to ask you is why. In the books that you see pinned, this book is going to cover a whole chapter of why. Okay. Why? Because without the why, you really don't have the basis of your book. So for a lot of us, we skip through the why and we get to the parts we like. Oh, I don't really want to have to think that hard. Why? Because I want to. These are simple answers that sound really good because we can just check it off our list. Thank you so much, Sammy. But how many of us know, okay, if you don't do the work and you don't put in the effort now, you're going to have to go back and sometimes rewrite So if you want to avoid a time waster, lock in your why. Be very clear. I'm writing this book because I want to impact mothers. I'm writing this book because I want to encourage families that they can live the dream. I'm writing this book because I went through this and I believe other people going through this don't have to, because I want them to live vicariously through my experience. Okay. These make good back copy descriptions, by the way. Okay. So if you don't know your why, it's going to be really difficult to know how to sell your book to. Okay. So if you are doing this for a bucket list, if you just want to get stuff off your heart, you can eliminate a lot of pressure you have about how many copies you sell, because it wasn't about that. It was about information. It was about, so inspiring. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Okay. So if you are stuck on your why, meaning this is the basis of your business, if you're an author, by the way, your why is like your mission statement. Okay. So if you're stuck there, you're stuck at the beginning, which isn't a bad place to be. Okay. Which is why I put the why first. Before I write any book, my first thing is, okay, Krystal, why are you writing this? Okay. And then the next question I'm going to ask, right? Because you got to, is what is your purpose? Okay. I know a lot of us are like, why is that so important? I thought the why is the purpose. It's not. Okay. Your purpose is the reason for your why. Are you wanting to write to encourage more people to do what? To learn, to grow, to be inspired, to be educated, to be entertained, to laugh, to have fun, to release, to be in another world, to escape their problems temporarily, to give them relief or reprieve because they've been, depressed, down, or etc. Okay. So these are the things you want to know, because guess what? These two combined make up how you are going to market or sell your books. Okay. He says all of the above are inspiring. Debbie says relief, meaning for people that might be going through something, it's a relief to know that you're not alone. Okay. It's a relief to know, okay, this person tried this. I've not done any of these things. So it's a relief that you can see a way forward. One of the most, I would say, disturbing things about life is when you are going through something tragic and you don't feel like you can make it, right? You don't feel like you're going to be able to endure. You don't see a way out. So people buy books to help explain the things that they are not seeing or reveal. Okay. I know for me, I'm going to tell y'all and be honest, transparent. Okay. So I have a company. I actually have a few companies, and I moved my headquarters to Texas. And in moving, I had to look at all the things that I accrued with my previously registered companies and decide how I'm going to allocate the debts that I incurred with that company to transition it into the new one that I'm forming. Okay. For me, initially, I was like, oh Lord, this is so much to deal with, because I was intimidated by the prices. Okay. For some of us, we have invested or we have lines of credit that we have used for our companies, for ourselves. And we're looking at these bills and we're like, Lord, I'm paying the minimum balances on these items, but I'm not seeing any change. Why are you not seeing change? Because there is something you don't yet see, which is a way out. Okay. For some of us, we are paying minimum balances and you'll be paying for 20 years. Why? Because you're only covering your interest and just a little bit of your principal. But when you start to realize, okay, how much should I really be paying? I love the credit cards that will show you, if you pay the minimum balance, you will pay $20,000 extra. You're like, whoa, that's huge. But then if you go down to the next row, it'll say, if you pay most of the times, $100 more, you could pay it off in 3 years. How many of you can say, wow, if I could pay this off in 3 years, I'm not scared anymore. I'm not trying to, what I'm saying, run from my debts and just file bankruptcy, which is what some of us do because we don't know how to get out. So we're like, Lord, take it all back then. No, you got to see when you go through bankruptcy, the procedure, they're looking at what all you spent, how to restructure. Okay. It's nothing wrong with having or wanting to restructure what you've built. Okay. People will tell you, oh, you giving up on your business. No, I'm restructuring. And if you want to thrive, you have to be willing to restructure as necessary. And I want to let you know, restructuring can happen, especially when you're young, very frequently. meaning your ads started running and they're doing great. And then in a few more days, nothing. And you're like, wait a minute, Lord. This ad was producing one, two, three, four leads a day. Now it's producing nothing in 3 days. Probably need to look at your ad and update it, because you don't want to just spend money to just spend money. However, you do have to look at how many interactions you're getting. You do want to look at how many people start following you, because all of these things are triggers to assess value. But when you don't know how to look at your numbers or look at your data, you would assume it's useless. Lord, I'm going live for 2 hours and nobody bought anything. That's not the only way to determine value. Even in this live, I'm sharing this book right now. But if I leave this live and no one purchases this book in this live, don't think that this live is not going to be part of material that will inspire other people. You can repost content in smaller clippets to help people to digest what you talked about in long form. Yes, Mitty, a lot of people do. James, thanks for being a long time watcher. I see you. Alterique, how you doing? Thanks for following. ABC, thank you so much, hon, for the roses. And Market Libra, thank you so very much for being here and checking in. So in case you just dropped in, be sure to follow me while you're here. Definitely like the video and lift up comments if you have any questions. I'm definitely here to talk and have a good time with y'all. I'm good. How are you? I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking. Okay. Another thing I want to share with you, if you are writing or thinking about writing and telling your story to have it for personal use, to publish it for sales or marketing efforts, to launch a business, this book that's pinned right now is your best friend. Everything I'm talking about right now on this live is in this book in chapter form, meaning you're going to get your why further explained. And I want to show you how to use the book, okay? Because hearing me say that everything's in there is a lot different than me doing it or showing you that it's in there. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a stack of books and I'm, okay, cool. I didn't drop anything. All right. So, like I said, this is a hardback book, okay? So it's meant to be used repeatedly, okay? No matter your genre, this is going to be the process I recommend any writer, author, especially if you're new, follows. Okay. So if you don't know what you're doing and that's why you haven't started, if you are trying to figure it out and you're discouraged, I want to let you know I dedicate this book to new authors, writers. I give this book to my clients when they start their consultation with me. For those who book consultations, they're $156. And in that consultation, I can review your material. I can definitely learn more about your book. I can show you how to get out of holes. I can make it make sense and give you a plan to publish your book, whether you want to do it yourself, whether you want to hire another publisher or my company, because you don't have to. The consultations are meant to be neutral so you can decide what's best for you. The problem is people want you to hire them and you don't know what's best for you. That's why I came up with this book. Because even if my company isn't the best, or you trying to do it yourself, you might say, well, I can do a lot of this. Then do it, save money, and then just hire people for what you don't or don't want to do or don't know how to do, and maybe don't have an interest in learning because it might take too long. Okay. So this is the reason why I give this book away in my consultations. But if you're in this live, what I love is when you order this book, it's under $100 with shipping. Okay. Shipping is included for free. All right. And I'm going to give you that consultation for free. Okay. So when you buy this book, I'm going to give you a $156 consultation for free to show you how to use it. Okay. Because my first goal as an author, yes, as a writer, editor, publisher, is to ensure people tell their stories. I love reading books. I love seeing people accomplish their dreams and live the life that they want to. Okay. And if that's what you want to do and you're serious about this, or you want to be a repeat author, especially, you want to grab this book because this is going to give you the knowledge and the business sense. Okay. So on page 20 inside your book and on page 36 in the book, I talk about what's your purpose anyway. And 20 is why. Okay. So there's nearly 16 pages dedicated to why. Okay. And you might say, well, why so much? Because I want to have a conversation with you. The same way I'm talking to you now is the same way I write in my books. Okay. It's not complicated. It's not meant to intimidate you. It's meant for you to have the same voice you have now carry you through your writing process. Okay. Thank you so much, Moses. I do see you. Thanks for following, love. I appreciate you. Yeah, dropping the bell, y'all. Move that closer. It's too far away anyway. All right. So here's a little bit about the why. Okay. And then I'm going to read a little bit from the purpose so you can see how the book reads and how simple it really is to tell your story. Real quick, I do have to give you guys a shake because I said 1K hearts. We've done 2,200 hearts. So I owe you guys this. This is a little late, but I trust you'll appreciate it anyhow. Whenever we reach 1K, I do a celebration just to let you guys know I see you and I thank y'all for being on this live. So this is my clap to you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being in the live. Okay. Let me put that down. All right, so here we go. What made you decide to write this book? Do you want to write to express yourself, to help others achieve life goals? Do you write to spread awareness about a problem in your community or industry? Clarity on your why can best support you in determining the core reason you are writing. So for some of us, the reason why we're struggling with writing our stories is because we don't really know why we're writing our story. We just know we want to get it on paper. That's a good thing. That's part of it. But I want to let you know that's not all of it. In my discovery calls with potential clients, I often ask, so what's making you write this book? Many people answer that easy question with a similar response. Other people told me I should write a book. It is always great when others recognize and encourage you to pursue your talents. Publishing a book is a significant accomplishment, and I commend you for your interest. Next, I ask, so why are you writing? To further explain, what do you want to get out of this book? Many respond, well, I haven't thought about that. I just know I want to write and publish a book. Then I ask follow-up questions for further clarity. Why? Because if I'm your editor, if I'm your publisher or ghostwriter, I want to know what your goals are. And if your publishers are not asking those questions, you really want to ask, are they going to be in tandem with you, or are they just basically selling you a service? And a lot of them do. And then once the service is over, so is their communication, so is their help, so is their, your ability to reach them. I know a lot of people that come to me after they work with other publishers, their number one gripe is I can't get a hold of my publisher. Okay. I wish I would have researched them first. Okay. So if you are in that position and you're like, man, Krystal, how do I know? How should I know? Look at Google reviews. Look at Google search people's experience, look up the books they say they published and make sure that they're there. Make sure you can find them. And if you search their books and you only see them in one store, I would weigh that heavily. Okay. If you look up my name, you're going to see a whole lot of stuff. Author K Lee, Klee, separate. Okay. K.Lee. If you search me anywhere, you're going to see all 65 titles, and you're going to see my titles in English and Spanish stores and Japanese. Some of the, I've sold books as an author in Germany, Italy, Switzerland, Poland, France, Germany, the UK, Canada, United States. And I'm still selling books in places where I'm like, okay, the book is still in English, but thank you. So I want to let you know, some people don't know your real audience. And when we don't know why we're writing, we could miss our audience because we don't understand the value of distribution. Okay. Sometimes the cheapest way is not always the best way because you're only on one platform. What if you could go everywhere? What if you could print your books yourself? So with our clients, we set up your own account, meaning you get your royalty payments directly. You don't have to wait on us. You don't have to call us to see how many books you sold. You sign into your account and you can check it yourself. Another thing, you're not paying a fee for every book you print, because a lot of these self-publishers and publishers are charging you a processing fee or a placement fee of $1 to $2 and sometimes as high as $3 on top of your print costs. Okay, so if you're printing books and they're costing you 5, 7 or more, and they're paperback books and they're not in color, 9 out of 10 you're paying your printer, meaning your publisher, to print your books on top of your print costs. So I help a lot of authors reset up their books even when they're published to reduce their costs, so they're not paying that extra $3. And one of my clients, he was paying nearly $7 or $8. When I reset up his book, he wasn't paying more than $4. Okay, so that means the publisher was making $3,000 a month because he sells 1,000 books pretty quickly or within a year. So that means they made $3,000 after they issued services just because he didn't know he could print the books directly and not have to pay on that. Okay, so I want to let you know what we don't know can come back and make us frustrated. All right. So this is some industry knowledge. Okay. So I let you know how many books can I sell realistically? How much money is it in this for me if I only sell the minimum? And for most authors, you can make 500 sales or come up to about $10,000, uh, lifetime. And for some of us, we're like, man, I can invest $100 in this book, or I can do a consultation and you can show me how to put my book together and I can take this and go make. Yes, I sold 1,000 copies last year, not of a single book, but collectively. And in doing that, I only was going to events once a month, so if you want to really take this seriously, you can go as high as you want to go. The only question is, how much work are you going to put in your authorship business? Because it is a business. Okay. Um, let's see. I'm going to skip around just a little bit so you guys can get a little bit more. So if you choose to publish with distribution to stores or a print only option, the choice will be yours. Another reason some authors opt for a print only option is because stores allow returns for 30 days. Many avid readers can read your book in 2 weeks or less. Being able to return books in that window could mean people are reading and returning books. Some authors find that unfair. If you want a no return policy, it has to be on your website or sold in person. Now, this right here is, you can also mark the option on the page when you're distributing. It'll ask you, are these returnable? And that short answer, you can make it no. And then you don't have to worry about chargebacks. Chargebacks are a thing. And when you're getting chargebacks, when you're trying to build something, it could be honestly a punch to the gut, because you're like, man, I just sold 10 and then three come back. So now you sold seven. So it's kind of a accounting game too. If things are being returned and chargebacks, refunds, all that kind of go into it. But there is a way. Looking at the cost. So I do, real quick, if you're wondering, okay, Krystal, what about the cost? Um, let's see. Looking at the cost to format your book often costs between 800 and 1,200 on average. Prices typically exclude editing and only include a spell check element. On average, self-publishing could cost 2 to 10,000 should you need ghostwriting. With KLE Publishing, the average cost is drastically reduced to 1,500 and increases to as much as 6,500, including ghostwriting and publishing, typically to write, edit, and publish your book. Yes. So depending on where you're going, I mean, you can spend tens of thousands on a book. But our job, or our goal, our heart, is to show you how to publish your stories, ghostwrite and edit, and not and be very aware of your investment, but also aware that it is an investment, and to consider, how are we going to build a strategy to ultimately get that initial investment back. Which leads me to the next part. I'm going to skip the rest of the pages, and as y'all can see, there's still a lot in this chapter, and I want to encourage you definitely to check it out. Okay. So if this has been valuable so far, continue to stay in the line, because there is still more to go. We are less than 100 away from hitting 3K. So definitely continue to light up the screen if you're enjoying what you're hearing. It just lets other people know we're here. Drop a comment if you have a question. And if you're new, be sure to follow me. Okay. So what's your purpose anyway? Congratulations on being intentional about writing and publishing your book. There will be no more second guessing or stalling. Why shouldn't you have the desire of your heart? Printing your book is more than possible. It is happening, and I am here to help. Welcome to chapter 2. In this chapter, we will unpack the purpose of your writing of your writing your book, and determine which perspective or tools you can use to write your book. If you are in the Write Anything Easy course, you will have completed exercise 1, which will help you determine the goal of your book. Knowing why you are writing helps determine how to approach the writing process. Okay. Again, all of these things stack on each other. So this is why you're writing. Your purpose is how you're going to ultimately build a connection with your readers. Okay. So, yep. Just like learning can happen through hearing, writing, reading, and teaching someone else, readers can do the same thing. If you journal about your day, write a book on an aspect of your life, or make a movie featuring actors, you are realistically processing your thoughts and feelings. So I underline, as writers, to keep writing. Okay. Journal every day. Make sure you are writing down the things that you like, that inspire you. I keep a Google sheet that lists all my, like title ideas or subjects that I get inspired by, things I heard, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to share that one. That's a book title. So I want you to be aware of your surroundings, because you never know who's listening, okay, and who needs what you can share with them. All right. Processing your emotion is a significant accomplishment, and you should celebrate yourself. Cheers. Did you know discovering your feelings, shortcomings, and triumphs can help you better to excel in other areas? If you need to unpack this more, move through Module 1. Moving through, you will ask and answer the questions: why should I write anyway? Okay. Why is the first question, but why are you writing anyway are key. And these two chapters go together, which is why they're both in module 1. Okay. You probably are experiencing nervous excitement when you think of starting your book, which is normal. As the excitement turns to nervous energy, you realize you can talk about anything you desire. You can write to help yourself, someone else, somebody you know, or somebody you don't. You can write to advance your business, career, or profession and visualize your dreams. Let's take each case scenario and work through how you can understand your why and write. Okay. Thank you so very much. All right. So that is how the book flows. Okay. And as you're reading how the book flows, I want you to know it is not going to jar you into like, oh my goodness, I don't feel like I can do this. I actually write it for the opposite. It is in full color. This is a hardback book. Okay. And it does come, it's 164 pages in case you're wondering. So almost 200, it's almost going up there. So yes. So yeah, so there's a whole lot more that I can share with this book, but those are the first two things that you want to definitely look at and check out. So another thing I want to reiterate to you is what's the point of view of your book? Are you writing in first person, second person, third person? Are you having a narrator? Are the characters, is it coming out through a particular character's point of view, or the narrators watching? Okay. So all of these things help you to know how to edit your book too. Because if you don't know whose point of view you're speaking from, how are you going to know if you nailed it? How are you going to know if you need to change pronouns or rework things if you don't know the perspective or point of view? So I talk about what kind of point of views you can use. And then ultimately we move to chapter 3. Now, here is the next phase that I want you to know in writing your book or telling your story that you want to know is your outline. Okay. Outline. Now, for many of us, you mean to say, good, congratulations. For a lot of us, you might say, what do you mean when you say outline? Before I write any of my books, all 65, I actually do a book outline where I'm planning my beginning, my middle, and my end. Okay. So if you have not started your outline, you don't know how to write it, then this book is going to help you to not just outline this book, but any book that's going to come up. It's going to give you the tips. It's going to show you how to, really do a cohesive outline that will show you how to pull out more content than maybe you might be thinking at the start. It will give you different vantage points into how people could read what you're sharing and help you to nail, what you set out to do and your why, and then also in your purpose. Okay. So here's a little bit about how Let's Make a Plan, chapter 3 reads. Okay. To achieve something of value, you must have a plan. In life, your parents harp on having a strategy for success. In business, you need a process that guides clients. The Bible further commands us to write the vision and make it plain so others can pick it up and run with it. And this is in Habakkuk 2, verses 2 through 3. That scripture proves he knew someday you would decide to write your book. The Father is prophetic, and I put a smile. With that confirmation, everyone needs a plan. And with that at the forefront, I present chapter 3. Okay, let's make a plan. To begin writing your book, you require a clear strategy. You got to be clear on why you're writing and how you're going to carry the reader through your story or through your book. When we hear research, we can hit the snooze button or starting or finishing our book. Who wants to read books and essays, watch videos, or interview people to conduct research? For some of us, the real question is, when do I have time? Okay. If you are like, man, I ain't got no time to do no research. I don't really want to have to get certified in this. I don't want to be a coach. I want to coach people, but I don't want to get the certification, or I don't know where or how. I want you to consider the things that can help make you stand out in your niche, okay, or your genre. I'm sure your inner dialogue says, can I just write whatever I want? This is my book after all. I paid for it, so I should be able to write what and how I want. to answer your questions. When you seek to involve people in your writing process, you have chosen to be mindful of their needs. Okay. This is business tip 101. All right. As an entrepreneur, as a author, you're still a artist, but if you want this to be a business, you have to understand that as a business, we are solution driven. Okay. And repeat that, we are solution driven. So if you have not been solution driven and you've just been writing just to pour out your heart, I want to encourage you. What solutions are you bringing to other people's problems through you sharing stories? Okay. Or your accounts or your expertise or whatever you might be writing about. Okay. You want to put that at the forefront so people know what to do or how to receive your advice or your book or your story, really. Okay. um, you are essentially welcoming them to the writer's table. The reader writer connection can be defined like this: yes, I value helping to solve your problems and hearing how I can best do that with my book. Okay. A writer has to find a way to jump in the reader's shoes and solve problems or answer their questions. If you are ready to do that, you can discover any information you don't have. If you are writing a novel and a character is an engineer, you can't be true to the story if you are unfamiliar with their terms and issues. How many of y'all know that? Okay. If you're writing a novel and let's say it's a period piece, meaning you're doing something in the 1600s or etc., you want to be aware of what's happening in those eras so that your books appear more authentic. Okay. So doing the research, embodying, watching other movies that maybe exemplify what you're wanting to talk about, subject matter, they can help you to essentially do more. I know for some of us, we're just plugging things into AI and assuming AI knows your style and your abilities and all that, all your creativity. And I want to let you know it doesn't. Okay. It can do its best. It's going to give you something that may in fact be polished, but it may not be good and it may not be original. Okay. So I want to encourage you, don't be so caught up in perfection, be caught up in being true to your why and your purpose. Okay. And then what you promise the readers you're going to give them, make sure you deliver as you write. You can trip up terribly if unaware of lingo, job requirements, problems, or challenges. Presenting your book as a coaching guide requires a structure for how others apply your principles. You may need to obtain accredited sources to include scientific studies and resources that can better explain what you want to share. Okay. For some of us, you don't have to go out and get the degree to write what you're wanting to say, but find somebody who already did the work and quote them. Okay. Quote them. Yes, I will quote something and somebody in a heartbeat. And you have to give them credit so you're not infringing on someone's copyright or basically plagiarism, stuff like that comes into play when we are not giving credit where it's due as writers. Okay. Again, this is a hardback book. It is in full color. There's a whole lot more in this section, but for the sake of time, I'm going to help us to move on to the next subject and topic. So we're going to do our why, we're going to do our purpose, we're going to do our outline, and then after you get through your outline, now we're going to get to ready, set, write. Okay. So now we're going to actually get to the writing process. Here's writing, right? All right. So when you begin the writing process, there are some things I want to show you that you need to just be aware of or know that there are no wrong ways to go into the writing process. There are better ways. There are ways that work better for you. Sometimes I write my books with I handwrite stuff. I'm like, okay, let me just write. And then, after that, I'm like, okay, I can type the rest. Because for some of us, putting pen and paper together helps us to materialize our thoughts. So you need to see what is the best way for you to know what you are ultimately wanting to say and communicate. Okay. Hey there, Robert. So good to see you in the live. He just recently published his book, and I got your request. I'll have it updated today. Okay. So we're ready, set, right. Let's read this. Let's read a little bit of this so I can show you how this section is meant to help you. Okay. We are here, and I pray I didn't keep you from one of the best parts of this book, learning easy writing methods. As I said, writing can be easy when you have tools. In the last chapter, you likely created an effective outline and booked a discovery call with KLE Publishing. Okay. I encourage you to use the discovery calls. Again, I'm going to show you how to use the book. I'm going to answer your questions about writing it. And for many of you, I will also help you to publish your stories. Okay. So take the pressure off. We finish in 90 days or less, which is one of the best things I love, whether you're ghostwriting, editing, or just needing to format your book. It could be done in 30 days or less. Okay. So here we go. Great. I'm glad you are taking advantage of the tools at your disposal. If you need more confidence, work on your introduction last. I know some people are like, man, I'm trying to write this introduction. How? When the whole book isn't there for you to what? Say what you are going to introduce. Okay. So I usually write my books and then I come back to do the introduction, unless they're children's books, because I know the whole book and there are no twists and turns there. But for adult books, for guides, I definitely write it first. Why? Because I want to be able to quote elements in those chapters to help the reader want to get to that part. Okay. How are you going to tell them how to get to a part and the part isn't written? For you to include it. So sometimes we write like a sketch introduction. And then after that, in the editing process, I will rework my introduction. Okay. Sometimes the introduction also can trigger elements you want to write about or include. So I want to encourage you still reference your introduction and make sure you don't need to make updates somewhere. All right. All right, here we go. And then it goes to, if you need more confidence, work on your introduction last. Start with your chapters, the conclusion, and pull out items that stand out the most to you. There is no fixed rule on how to write the content you want, but it is essential that as a reader makes their way through your book, they will go from principle to principle, meaning what you talk about in your introduction is actually what happens. Okay. Nothing's worse than someone is selling you pie in the sky. And then as you go through the book, there ain't no pie. The sky has fallen. And now you're back to ground zero. And you honestly check out of the book way too early. Okay. And I mean, the reader. Readers should feel like they are accomplishing something while they read your book. One of the greatest feelings I'm sure you have when reading a book is seeing how far you've come in pages and realizing how much you have learned. People pick up books to understand concepts and take a journey, but they must be able to follow you. Okay. So they have to be able to follow your breadcrumbs. They have to be able to follow the roadmap that you've laid. Have you ever gone jogging with someone and that person left you in the dust, or somebody's following you? They're like, hey, yeah, follow me. And you start following, and then they start moving too fast, or they cut corners, or they go through a light they know you're not going to make it through. So now you're stuck on the other side of the light and you're like, okay, where's the Google map? Because clearly I can't follow you because you're not what anticipating me following you. You're just kind of doing your own thing. And you're saying keep up if you can. You don't want that to be the resonance that a reader feels as they read your book. Okay. So maybe you are athletic. I'm not claiming that right about now in my life. I should be, but I'm a work in progress. Perhaps you have been in a classroom where the teacher talks a mile a minute and assumes you're writing everything down. Have you ever had people where they're like just blah, 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 and they're like, I hope you wrote that down. You're like, no, I don't write 20 words a minute. I got none of that. This is why I want people to have the book, because I know in my consultations, I'm going to give you a lot of information. Why? Because I believe in the value and I want you to be able to leave my consultations and go do what you got to do. Okay. So if you want to do it yourself, you're going to leave empowered. If you want to work with us, you're going to be informed on our process, so you know what you're investing in. And if you hire somebody else, you're going to know what you need from them. Okay. So no matter your process or your way of connecting, getting this book is how you cement the information. How would I expect you to remember what I'm sharing or what you're learning when you just heard it? And that's why I tell people, don't worry about writing anything down. This is all in the guide. Okay. So if you want to meet with me, if you want to take your book journey seriously, if you want to get to the next step, I want you to order this book. Why? Because when you order the book, you're going to get my consultation for free. Okay. So they're normally $156. But when you order the book, I give you the consultation for free. Okay. Because I understand, I want you to understand this is going to go with you. Panther, thank you so much for looking at the book. I see you. I appreciate you. Okay. These books are going to come signed by me. All right. And I'm going to give you my details. I'm going to reach out to make sure you know how to use this. All right. So this $100 is not going to be a waste, and I'm paying the shipping. Okay. So I want you to understand and know this is where the value is with this book and in my process is I'm transparent. Whether you, however you want to tell your story, my job is to make sure you're equipped to do it, and you won't get taken advantage of. I've met too many authors that have spent $10,000, got nothing. That's the only reason why I included 10,000 in the book, was because I know someone who paid that, and they did not edit her book. Her cover was undone. It was literally a stack of color pencils spread out in a box. It was the weirdest cover. I said, no, we're not putting this out. This don't say nothing to the reader. This doesn't mean nothing. So I told her, let me give you a free cover, which I did, and she loved it. At first, she didn't even think the book was going to be as applicable to men or male teachers. How about when I gave her the cover, she showed it to a handful of people at her job, and they were like, "Oh, I'm buying it." And she was like, "Wow, Krystal, I never even thought men would want my book because I'm a woman telling my story." I said, "When you pull the, when you make the subject the header and not your biography, then you're going to be able to relate to people that don't look like you, that don't live where you live, and that don't have the same experiences that you may have, but they share a common denominator." And that's what I want people to focus on, and not the things that are the dividers. Okay. So after that, she was definitely convinced. She has her book. She's been doing very well. And she's doing trainings with it. She turned her book into a guide, and she built a course with it. So there's a lot of stuff that we can ultimately help you to do and plan it out. Okay. So, yes. So, if you're struggling to write everything down, even in this live, I want to let you know, just buy the book, everything I'm saying and more, because I won't get to everything. But what I'm talking about in this live, I believe it's going to bless you. Okay. Here we go. I don't know who thought this was possible, but they should be talked to concerning it. People that expect you to write 20 words a minute handwritten. Now we get to use computers in classes, so it's a bit better. I can type pretty quick, but not everybody's cranking out 80, 60 words a minute either. So it does help when you can do that. I do that. So anyway, this was one of my most prominent issues with school. So I learned to type to keep up with the content and the details. Like I said, when I realized I can type faster than I write, I switched out of writing handwritten notes and I went into typing. But this is also why I got into publishing, is because I wanted to share my journeys, my experiences, to show you that you can do this, to show you how I did it, so you can do it yourself if you want to, or you can understand my process. So when you're hiring me, you'll know what to expect. All right. Would you agree that humanity is resourceful and resilient? Your readers are dynamic and can pick up what you are saying if you make it clear. So how can you use tools in the written language to help you drive home ideas and points in each chapter? You want to write with syntactical variety for starters. Syntactical variety is one of my favorite words or sayings that I picked up from my editing essentials class in college. My minor credits are in writing. And this class was one of the hardest classes at my college, which was Rollins. And I remember taking this, and she just kept harping on syntactical variety. What it does is it helps the reader not to get bored with the short sentences or overwhelmed by your long sentences. So if you look at my book, you'll notice that I don't put a whole lot of content in each of these chapters where the reader is like, oh, I don't feel like reading that. Oh my goodness, that is so long. The chapter is this, or the paragraph is that big. It's too much. It's too much. I believe in white space because it helps the reader process your information. It gives them a mental break as they're reading, and it helps them to reflect on how they feel about what you're saying. Okay. One of the things I want to encourage you to keep is the KISS method, which is to keep it simple. Now, I know y'all probably heard it. It's keep it simple, stupid. I don't like the stupid part, so I just say keep it simple. But don't overthink it. Sometimes we try to sound smart and miss the boat entirely. You are not writing for yourself. You are expressing something about yourself that is likely to help others. Keep that in mind, that you are writing for an audience. Use language to your advantage and write with the reader in mind. Okay. If you're writing to children, don't write essay forms, where the children are like, this book is hard. Okay. If you have a reader's level in your book, keep that mindset or that at the forefront of your mind. So when you're writing the books and creating the graphics, you're creating content that children would want to read. If you're talking to men, if you're talking to women, so you want to consider your reader or your audience. So as you're writing, things will connect. Okay. And I want to share probably one more thing with you all before I end the live. And this is also still in module 3, which is how can I add the cherry on top? Okay. So when you're writing, I recommend definitely doing free writes where you just sit and you write what comes to your mind, but know that in the editing phase, you're going to be able to rearrange, to structure, to cut out, and sometimes to extend what you have written. Okay. So editing is just not about grammar. I know some of us are like, oh, yeah, it needs grammar. For some of us, we need structure, rearranging. We need, sometimes I do what we call wraparound ghostwriting. And with wraparound ghostwriting, what it means is I'm going to come alongside what you've written, and I'm going to fill in the blanks with recommended words to connect your thoughts to what you're saying next. Okay, so it's a heavier approach to editing because you're actually filling in the gaps that the writer left behind. And sometimes writers don't need this, they just need grammar, fix the commas, fix the this, the spelling typos. That's all basic stuff. But then you get people who submit books and they're like, yeah, I don't know really how I got here, but I wanted this in the book. So when people say stuff like that, meaning my authors, I say, okay, no problem. I'll just write in a connection between where you were and where we're going. So the reader can continue to follow the course, and it's not doing this, all throughout your book. We don't want roller coasters unless they're gradual. Okay. Because when you are building up characters and building up an episode or building up experiences, then you want to definitely let people come down. And when they're coming down, you want it to make sense. Okay. So, congratulations, you're in chapter 5. The last chapter should have been a bit of fun. You heard some of my jokes and caught my video, if in the cohort, on overcoming 7 mistakes many authors make. Plus, you access my bonus material on my playlist for free. Did I mention I taught English Comp 1 and 2? I love that I can teach an English boot camp and get to the nitty gritty of things, don't you? So I am, and I do have a college professing background in English, especially. So I do bring that to the table in this book as far as giving you direction and how to write and all that good stuff, your books. I know you were thinking, how can I add the cherry on top for writing my book, right? Okay, there we go. You can embrace technology. So many aspects of our society have embraced technology. We use it to communicate through phones, computers, and virtual reality. I recently set up my virtual office in First World, KK Vision, on Horizon World MetaQuest. I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I ain't really on there. I set it up, and man, it burns my eyes and stuff when you're on that thing for too long. So just call me the good old fashioned way. Use email, phone, text, or something else. Because if you on the metaverse, no, I ain't gonna be there. But anyway, wow, the extra level of experience you can bring to your clients in this space is impressive. Nothing beats human interaction. The metaverse marries live interaction with video exploration, and I can understand why people like it. So you have to consider, for the people you're talking to, do they like digital books? Are they physical book people? Do they want it in their hands? For many people, you're probably going to learn the biggest sector of this industry is physical books. Okay. I know a lot of people are like, man, it go digital. I'm gonna just get an ebook. Ebooks are great, but look at how much money you can make on an ebook. If you're on like Kindle or something like that, you're only getting $1. They put a max on how much they're gonna pay out. Even though your ebook could sell for more, they have a right inside of their policies that they're only giving you $1. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Peace and blessings, Benny. Thanks for tapping in. Okay. So I want to let you know, keep this in mind as you're looking at recoup, because as a business structure, you can sell one book and that gives you more of a return than selling 15 ebooks. So if you're not going to sell thousands of ebooks, then you're not going to reach $10,000 lifetime. Okay. Think about the math here. If the goal is 500 units lifetime is the average, of course you could do way more than that. All right. But if 500 is the average for a book, 500 ebooks is what? $500. How is that going to be worth your investment? Okay. To publish an ebook could run 500 to 1200, just depending on what all you may need done. And if you're going to pay that kind of money, you got to sell 1200 units just to break even Okay. And that ain't including any marketing you got to do, any other thing, graphics or events you have to book to go to. And not everybody is what going to scan your phone or QRs just to buy something from you. They're going to want to walk away with something. Okay. So physical books still outsell digital books by like 95%. Okay. And I would even say it's higher than that. But we'll be fair and say 95 because things are changing. So to grow with the times. So I would encourage you, definitely have physical books if you want to make your money the fastest. Okay. Don't mean don't have a digital book, but also just consider what it does and how it works compared to physical books, especially for your reader's expectation. Okay. Thank you so very much, Mark. I appreciate you. Shalom, shalom. And be sure to follow me too if you haven't. Definitely lift up those hearts. We're almost at 3K, which is our goal. So if we can get to 3K in the next few minutes, I will thank you. We got about 4 minutes left. So if you are liking this live, be sure to lift up the hearts and this training that I'm doing. Be sure to do that. And I thank you so, so very much in advance. I do believe that this is one of the fun ones that I wanted to do to show y'all how to really think through the details of writing and publishing your book. Okay. Let's see. Where am I? What was limited through writing for some to explore, they can now see through video, audio, and images from a gaming perspective. You can choose to use technology to help you write effortlessly also. Or two. If you are not a writer, physically have restrictions, or sitting in front of a computer makes your mind blank, speak your book. Yes, you can record your book in several different ways using a plethora of applications. I bought a digital recorder because I come up with ideas while in the most random places. I can drive down the road and hear the Lord downloading a dialogue in my mind, sometimes vividly. Too often, when I'm at rest, my mind can find solutions to problems I didn't even know existed. Okay. In the book Turnkey Solution, you read the rest of the title earlier. I have a chapter dedicated to SWOT, which is your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The acronym, that's what it stands for. I use SWOT when asked to do a book or business analysis. If you look at your strengths and say, I am savvy at talking, for example, why wouldn't you use that to help you write? If you can act out your ideas or draw them, why not use technology to capture them? I take pictures of napkins I wrote notes on while waiting for my food at restaurants. If great ideas hit me, I jot them down for later reflection. Okay. So I want to encourage you that if you're in this live and you're like, man, I really need a process for how I am ultimately, uh, using my time, or how am I going to connect and get things written down. I want you to know everything starts with an idea. Okay. So if you are at the point where you're like, I know I have a story, but I don't know what I want to say, I don't know how I'm going to publish it. I want to let you know that this book is going to help make that process easy. It's also going to answer a lot of your questions, and I am here if you would like my help. Okay. Like I said, if you want to get a consultation where I can review your book, I can give you notes, I can help you find a way forward, no matter which way you want to go, whether it's doing it yourself, working with me, or working with another publisher. I want to make sure you understand this business. So as you're making decisions as a author, business owner, you are making informed decisions and not just decisions because of budget or because somebody asked or you felt guilty or whatever. You want to make decisions that are best for your business, if this is in fact a business. And if you are doing this just to make your reach a goal, then I want you to know there's no shame in that either. Okay. Sometimes we're doing things because we're committed to a process, and other times we're doing things because this is something that we want to do and we want to see. All right. So I want to thank you guys for being in this live, for sure, for sure. I want to thank y'all for lifting up the hearts and letting other people know we were in this live. If there is something of value you pulled out, congratulations. If there's something more you want to discuss, feel free to contact me, follow me if you haven't, and I'll be live again